My friends, are reading from the Holy Gospel according to Saint Luke. After Jesus had spoken, a Pharisee invited him to dine at his home. Jesus entered and reclined at the table to eat. The Pharisee was amazed to see that he did not observe the prescribed washing before the meal. And the Lord said to him, "O you Pharisee, although you cleanse the outside of the cup and dish, inside you are filled with plunder and evil. You fools, did not the maker of the outside also make the inside? But as to what is within, give alms, and behold, everything will be clean for you." My friends, the good news of our salvation. Good morning, my sisters and brothers, and thank you for joining with me, especially as I begin my 5th day of my retreat here in Sacred Heart Novitiate. My friends, our aim in life is basically to please the Lord and submit ourselves to Him, as well as also to have a righteous life or living in the righteous life. It is important for us to consider that when we say holiness, it is not something from the outside, but holiness is in our own inside. We are supposed to consider that our own purification will never take place outside us or in the external, but the purification of our soul, our hearts, will definitely come from purifying our inside. But unfortunately, we realize that when you look at the gospel reading for the day, the Pharisees are giving much more important in the external purification rather than the internal purification. Because in this gospel reading, again, the conflict arises between Jesus and the Pharisees because one of the Pharisees who invited Jesus, in a way, made a complaint against him because Jesus decided to eat without washing his hands. In reality, my sisters and brothers, during the time of Jesus, the Pharisees or the religious leaders will never dare to eat anything, especially during meals, without doing such very rigid, very long, tedious way of purifying their hands before eating. In the end, the Lord have recognized that they may have purified their own external appearances or even their hands, but unfortunately, the purification remains from the external because inside there's no purification happening. And this is what the Lord is in a way protesting against those people, especially for the Pharisees. They're so concerned with hoping that the people will recognize their own holiness through their own external following of the rituals, without even really submitting themselves to the will of God or even asking the Lord to purify their own hearts from their own sins, from their own limitations, and from their own self-centeredness. This is actually something wrong because the Pharisees, in a way, have a wrong priority, wrong way to holiness, because they thought that if they will do all those rituals in worshiping the Lord, everything is in the context of external. The people will say, this person, the Pharisees, are very holy because they are so faithful. They are so devoted in doing all those external. But you know, sometimes the Lord can see something, not from the outside, but they can see our own inside. Sometimes, my sisters and brothers, maybe it's also good to ask ourselves also, in terms of your own priority, in terms of our own desire also to make ourselves holy, What is our main consideration? In other words, when you look at your own life right now, are you also giving importance also, not only through your own external appearances? Sometimes we realize that we cannot even go out of our houses without taking a bath, without having a perfume, without having a good dress to wear, or even without looking at the mirror to make sure that people will say, "You're so beautiful. Ang gwapo mo. Napakaganda mo. Napakabango mo." And then we are so elated. We are so happy to hear people praising us because we are wearing beautiful dresses. Even to the point that we go to mall to search for those very expensive dresses because this is what we want. We want the people to praise us. But unfortunately, sometimes we are so concerned with what people will say about our physical appearance or even the dresses that we wear. But we are not really concerned about our own internal appearance, which in the end, the most important thing for God. My sisters and brothers, we worship God, not through the external. But unfortunately, the Pharisees are worshiping God through the external. We worship God in our own hearts. Holiness is not something from the outside. And this is the view of the Pharisees. Holiness is inside us. Holiness is when we recognize that we are purified, that we have a very clean soul, clean hearts, clean spirit, clean mind also, that in front of the Lord will be pleased because we are, in a way, giving much more importance to the most important thing in this life. Our soul, our spirit, our hearts. That's why the Lord said in this gospel reading for today, you are so concerned in cleaning the external of the cups, but you are not concerned in cleaning the internal of the cups. Something for our own consideration, my sisters and brothers. And then after that, he said a very important word: give alms to other people. Now, what is the connection? Because for the Pharisees, they recognize, or maybe they have this wrong notion, that if people will say that they are holy because they are doing all those external rituals, in terms of saying that, when people will say, banal yan taong yan, the words of the people became the measuring cup for them to be able to say that they are holy. In other words, they are searching and searching and searching for what the people will say. It is not on searching what the Lord will say about them. So holiness is pleasing the Lord. It is not pleasing other people. Something for our own consideration. So there are actually two kinds of directions of, in a way, looking at how do we become a holy person. The first one is the wrong notion of doing the religious rituals. Doing the religious rituals. Well, in the end, everything is the external. Minsan nga po, sisters and brothers, niloloko po namin yung mga ibang mga retreatant, no? They are so quiet in their own retreat, no? They're so quiet, yet in the end, pag tinanong namin, pero ano bang nangyayari sa looban mo? Parang bang napakatahimik mo sa retreat, nagdarasal ka sa retreat, pero sa loob mo, ang ingay. Sa loob mo, ang dami mong iniisip. Sa loob mo, ang iniisip mo, yung mga gagawin mo sa labas pagkatapos ng retreat. In other words, you are in a way showing to the people that you're so silent during the retreat, but inside you, you're not actually silent. That's why in the retreat, we're always telling our retreatant that silence is not just becoming silent physically, but it is more on disposing yourself to the loving presence of God, having an inner silence of disposition of humility, and also the disposition of willingness to listen to the Word of God or listen to His voice. This is the silence that we are aiming at. Anong kwanta ng nagdarasal ka? Diba? Tahimik na tahimik ka. Naiinis ka pag merong ingay. Pero yung ingay mo sa loob, hindi mo pinapatahimik. there's something wrong about it. That's why the Lord in this gospel reading for today, my sisters and brothers, is insisting the importance of the rituals of loving. Not just the rituals of those religious things that we are supposed to do. No, no. The most important things are the rituals of are not the rituals of the religious, but it is more on the rituals of loving. Because when we are, in a way, always concerned in these rituals of loving, we realize that this is basically very liberating for all of us. Because it moves us away from self-righteousness to recognizing that we are sinners, moving from our own self-centeredness, that I am just thinking of my own self, moving now to what we call other-centeredness. And in the end, we recognize that our aim, my sisters and brothers, is to search for that inner beauty and purity. Ito po yung hanapin natin araw-araw. Huwag po tayong magpaganda lamang para sa ibang tao sa pagsusuot ng magandang damit, paliligo araw-araw, pagpunta sa parlor or sa barber shop, pagharap sa salamin araw-araw to make sure that everybody will say, "You're so beautiful." Externally. Let's search for the inner beauty and purity inside us. Magpaganda rin tayo sa ating kalooban na siguraduhin natin na bago tayo magsimula ng araw o bago magtapos ang ating araw, maligo tayo ng pag-ibig at presensya ng Diyos at humingi ng pagpapatawad sa Kanya upang linisin ang ating kaluluwa. Siguraduhin natin na kapag humarap tayo sa salamin ng katarungan, katotohanan at pag-ibig, makikita natin ang ating sarili na tumutulong at mayroong kawang-gawa na ginagawa sa iba. At hindi yung makikita mo sa pagharap mo sa salamin ng karunungan, katarungan at pag-ibig, hindi mo makita ang iyong sarili sapagkat ayaw mo man lang tignan ng salamin. Di po ba? Nakaranasan natin yan, di po ba? Na kapag alam mo medyo pangit ka, ang itsura mo, ayaw mong tumingin sa salamin. Isang ganun din po sa tinatawag nating salamin ng katarungan, salamin ng pag-ibig, sa salamin ng pag-ibig, ng pagtulong sa kapwa. Hindi po natin gustong tumingin sa salamin ng pag-ibig kasi kung tatakot tayo, baka pangit ang ating itsurang makita. No? Kaya nga siguro in the end, no, naalala natin yung kwento, no, ni Cinderella, no? Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Ano kaya isasagot? Sasabihin ba ng mirror, you, because you have your own inner beauty, because you have learned how to purify yourself, your inner self, as well as also you have learned how to become merciful and also helpful for other people. So sisters and brothers, ask yourself right now, ikaw ba'y katulad rin ng ating ebanghelyo ngayon that the Lord will say, "You fools," because you're so concerned with something that will never last. Tatanda rin tayo. Mawawala rin ang ating ganda. Mahuhulog din ang ating mga buhok mula sa ating ulo. Ipupulubot din ang ating mga balat kahit na anong gawin mong pagpapaganda. Kaya kunin natin yung tunay na nagpapaganda sa atin. At ano ba yung tunay na nagpapaganda? Presensya ng Panginoon. Magpapatawad sa kapwa. Pagtulong sa kapwa. Paghingi ng kapatawaran sa Panginoon. Pagiging mabuting tao. Pagiging masayaing tao. Pagiging isang taong puno ng pananampalataya. Ito ang dapat nating bigyan ng tuon sapagkat ito ang nagpapalinis at nagpapaganda ng ating kalooban, ng ating puso na hindi kumukupas, hindi nawawala, hindi namamatay, hindi kumukulubot. At ito yung mas mahalaga. Mga kapatid, let's start recognizing the importance of pleasing the Lord and not ourselves and other people.